Welcome to the David Dean Show, a weekly look at West Georgia Wolves football, brought to you by Systems and Methods. SMI, a proud supporter of West Georgia Wolves football. And hello again, everybody, with head coach David Dean. Welcome into the Coach David Dean Show, West Georgia Wolves football. Game 11 this past Saturday night, and Coach, you knew it would be a difficult task in Valdosta against the Blazers, and it most certainly was. We didn't help ourselves a couple of times, but that was a mighty good opponent.
It was. They got a great football team, and they're as advertised, especially offensively. They're very explosive, and we knew they were. We were going to have to limit their big plays, and they made some big plays on us. Obviously, the one right before the half was a huge play in that game. We had cut the lead back down to 6, and with 1.4 seconds, he makes that long run for the touchdown and puts them back up with a significant lead. But we did a poor job of tackling all night long, and we had some opportunities offensively to make some plays. Didn't do our job up front, and it's credit to them. They got a great football team, and there's a reason why they're undefeated and why the way that they're playing the way they're playing.
What about the positives in this ball game, Coach? We're a good football team, and we did some things well despite what the final score looked like.
Well, we did. We hurt ourselves with some penalties at times, just being selfish acts and making some late hits and doing different things like that and giving up field position. But positives, we hit them with some big plays. We had some opportunities to do some big things in the game. Our special teams was good in our return game. We had some nice returns on those guys, which they haven't given up a lot. We forced a good quarterback to be very he didn't have his best night. I think he completed 11 of 20-something passes in the upper 20s. He did hit some big throws for some touchdowns, but for the most part, we covered him up pretty well. And when we had him covered up, he didn't complete those passes, but he killed us with his legs. Obviously, when we cut that lead back down, and then he broke the long one, that was a big play in that game as well. But I think the atmosphere of that game. That was a great Division II game. Their crowd was unbelievable. They were loud and very supportive of them. And the crowd that we brought up there, I appreciate all of them coming from Carrollton and all the different parts. Saw a lot of former players there. Our side was loud as well. It was just a great atmosphere and a great night.
I've never seen anything quite like that. And to their credit, to our credit, these are two great football programs that deserve this kind of support.
Well, no question, and obviously with it being on the ESPN, that added to the excitement of the game. But it was just a great atmosphere, and any time that you're playing for the stakes that high, as far as conference championships and being number one in the region and the Peach Basket and bragging rights in the state, both teams undefeated. There should be a crowd like that, and it should be the excitement that we had. And it was a fun night. Obviously we didn't come out with the victory, but it was still a lot of fun to be a part of, and it was a night that although we lost, we will remember for a long time.
Coach, I know physically took its toll on us. We got a couple of guys nicked up on Saturday night. How does that look here early in the week getting ready for the playoffs?
Well, I think Sam is probably going to be out. He's got some problems with his ankle in the game. I think we may have lost Austin Barron. He broke his collarbone when he made a tackle on that kickoff, unfortunately. We don't know about Ben Walters. He hurt his knee again. Other than that, with Willie going down late in the ball game, he's probably got a concussion. Everybody else probably is okay. We're still banged up. We're going to be playing for our 12th straight week without a week off, and that's why we needed that win so bad so we could have this week off. But we don't have that. So, we've got to heal up. We got to do a great job in our training room and get some treatment and get well and get back out and get ready to play a great game on Saturday.
Well, speaking of Saturday, the Wingate Bulldogs coming into town, year in and year out, they're just a good, solid, strong football program, and no different this year. They're living up to their tradition.
Well, they won their conference last year and finished second in the conference this year behind Lenore-Ryan. They're having another outstanding year. It seems like every year they're in the playoff hunt, making in the playoffs and getting into the playoffs. they're having a great season once again. They played Florida Tech, a common opponent with us, early in the year, and Florida Tech had to kick a field goal late to win that ball game. So they're a very formidable opponent, very good on defense. They fly around. Offensively, they can make some things happen. They've got a running back that's very, very good. They got a big offensive line that can push you around a little bit. They're very well coached. They play great special teams. So this is a good first-round matchup for us. This is one of those games that when you get into the playoffs, you want to play a good opponent right off the bat. And we had a very good draw with Wingate because they're going to challenge us. And if we're going to make a run at where we want to be, we've got to have a good first-round game to get started with, and that's what Wingate's going to give us. Speaking of runs, Coach, you've had teams that have made good runs. You've had teams that have made special runs. What does it take to get on that kind of run? Even if you have a setback late in the season, and you've won championships when that happens. Well, we have. The thing that you have to do is you have to put that game behind. It hurt to lose that game. We suffered on the way home. We felt the pain all the way home. And yesterday, all day we were kind of in the mully grubs because we didn't pull off the victory and didn't achieve what we wanted to achieve. But we are in the second season. We're in a position now that we can make a run for, you want to win the Gulf South Conference, but ultimately you want to win a national championship. And that's more important than a Gulf South Conference championship, and we're 5 games away from that. So what we've got to do is we've got to put that game behind us. We've got to start focusing in on Wingate and start this whole new season over 0-0. And, basically we got to stay healthy, we got to stay hungry, and we got to refocus and go back and do what we did for 10 straight games to give us those victories. Coach, what does it tell you about this league? You look at this playoff bracket in Super Region 2, over half of it, again, the Gulf South Conference. I hear fans say the SEC of Division 2. That's not very far out of line, is it? No, it's not. Last year we had the 4 Gulf South Conference teams ended up being the 4 teams left in this region. And if things could go the way that they could go, if we were to be fortunate enough to beat Wingate, West Alabama were to win, and Florida Tech would win, we would have 4 Gulf South Conference teams left in this region once again. So that's a very strong possibility. It's one of those things that it helps you in the later part of the season. You do get beat up a good bit, but it helps you in the latter part of the season because you have played very, very, very good competition week in and week out. Well, Coach, last year you got into the playoffs. We had about a 10-hour bus ride. It's got to be a little bit better to walk out your door and know this is on Rayland Field Saturday afternoon. Well, there's no question. You don't want to get on that bus, and that was a long trip to Virginia last year, and we had to make it a 3-day trip. Obviously because we left on Thursday. But playing at home is big. You get to sleep in your own bed. You're used to where you're eating, your routine for 6 games. You're used to that, and we're going to do that once again. The only difference that we're going to have is we're not going to play it at 2 o'clock. We're going to play it at 12. So the day's going to start a little bit quicker for us. But I think our guys are going to be excited about that and have an opportunity to play the game and hopefully enjoy a victory afterwards. Coach, let's look forward to this one, and let's look forward to doing this thing for about another month. It's been fun there. Well, I'd love to. I'm not ready for it to end. I'm really enjoying being with these guys each and every week and seeing them go out and compete the way that they compete. And I'm really looking forward to see how we respond after the emotional game that we had Saturday night. How will we respond into this second season when we start getting ready to play Wingate and get off to a playoff run? It'll be the West Georgia Wolves and the Wingate Bulldogs Saturday, high noon on Rayland Field at University Stadium, round 1 of the NCAA Division II Super Region 2 bracket. We'd love to have you there. Ticket information, everything you need to know, you can find it at uwgsports.com. And the Wolves and Bulldogs get it on Saturday, and we'll be right there with it. And we'll be back here next week with Coach Dean to talk about the game and maybe a round 2 game coming up on Rayland Field as well. For Coach David Dean, Mitch Gray saying thanks for joining us this week with the Coach David Dean Show.